Good afternoon, Bhargav and Bassel. Today is Wednesday, the 13th of December, and here's the heads up brief for today. Our production to our clients consisted of a total of 75 issues. I will be briefing you on the major issues of today's production.
All right, Mithma, thank you. Let's look at the major issues today.
Yes, Bhargav. So in the East Asia Pacific, we covered a total of 51 issues. I'm covering the top two of the 51 developments. In Papua New Guinea, compensation negotiations with Porgera mine-affected landowners in the Enga province are scheduled to commence in January 2024. The government plans to gather position papers from the affected landowners between the months of December and January, and this will shape the basis for subsequent negotiations. Following this negotiation phase, a compensation agreement for all affected landowners will be signed, and the government is earmarking around 26.5 million US dollars in business grants for the landowners with a comprehensive review of outstanding and upgraded compensation rates. Right now, the Porgera mine is slated to reopen on December 22nd, and we covered this as our major development in the Australasia and Pacific Islands roundup today.
All right, Mithma, please advise the team to monitor the developments around the negotiations. It is likely that the negotiations will become more convoluted as they go along, and we can't even rule out dissent from a section of landowners. And if it actually takes a political turn, if it's already a political issue, but if it becomes even more tense politically and in terms of security at the ground level, let's monitor and update our clients accordingly.
Of course, Bhargav. In Myanmar, there was a recently published United Nations report which was released yesterday. According to this report, Myanmar has become the world's largest source of opium. The revision was made after Afghanistan saw a drastic slump in opium production since last year under the Taliban regime. The report also noted that Myanmarese farmers earned 75% more from opium poppy farming, and that the land used for opium cultivation has increased by a total of 18%.
All right, thank you.
Moving on to South Asia, we covered a total of 21 issues. I will be covering the top three of the 21 issues today. In Pakistan, at least 23 military personnel were killed and 32 were injured after a suicide bomber detonated his explosive-laden vehicle. This incident occurred in front of a security post in the Darban area of Dera Ismail Khan in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province yesterday. All six terrorists involved in the attack were killed during a shootout with local authorities and security forces. The Tehreek-e-Jihad Pakistan, which is an offshoot of the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, has claimed responsibility for the attack. TJP terrorists launched a second attack near Kulachi College in Dera Ismail Khan yesterday as well, and this explosion killed at least one security personnel. Following these attacks, Pakistan summoned the Afghan Shah d'Affair and demanded that the Taliban government thoroughly investigate and take decisive action against the attackers. We covered this as the major development in the South Asia Roundup today. We have also released an alert on the incident yesterday.
Yes, so the situation is quite complex. The factions which have taken off from the umbrella organization that is Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, and now it is called Tehreek-e-Jihad, is making things worse in the Khyber province. And this year we have seen an escalation in tensions and law and order situation across the country, and more specifically Balochistan and Khyber provinces. As far as calling out the Afghan side is concerned, it's a situation created by the Pakistani security establishment themselves. Pakistani intelligence chief then, when Taliban took over, landed in Kabul within a few hours of the takeover and was sharing tea with them as if they were their own brethren. And the Taliban, as a matter of fact, have trained in Khyber province and other madrasas across the country. Now the chickens have come home to roost, I guess. So we'll have to monitor the situation as things are likely to get worse before the elections, as there are greater challenges for the security establishment. Let's monitor the situation and update our clients accordingly, Mithma. Thank you.
Of course, Bhargav. Also in Pakistan, the local government in Quetta deployed a heavy contingency of police ahead of planned demonstrations by the Pashtun Tahaffuz movement in Quetta's red zone area this week. These demonstrations are against the killing of Balak Mola Bakhsh in a counterterrorism department encounter in Turbat.
All right. The excesses of the security establishment at the provincial level is very well known in Pakistan, and these are only going to get worse if they do not bring the authorities under control from top down approach. Please advise the clients accordingly.
Sure, we'll keep monitoring the situation there, Bhargav. And in India, security forces in the Longding district of Arunachal Pradesh are on high alert due to the possibility of militant attacks and abductions. This is especially near the India-Myanmar border, and officials are taking measures to enhance security and ensure the safety of locals and political leaders. Village leaders and important individuals have been advised not to travel alone and to report any suspicious activities immediately.
Yes, the border region between India and Myanmar across the northeastern states, and more specifically Arunachal Pradesh in this case, is quite tense. And things have only gotten worse as the fighting in Myanmar between the armed ethnic organizations and the military have escalated in the recent months. And India needs to look out for its own security and law and order along the border areas. And what's worse, and we have projected this as well, that the secessionist groups in Northeast may actually get bolstered and emboldened by the successes of ethnic armed organizations across the border. Indian government, on its part, has got quite a few dead bones in its closet. They have committed excesses, but also they are putting effort to make sure there are agreements signed with these groups in the northeastern states. Very recently, there was one signed in Manipur with a group which was fighting the government for the last few decades. And such efforts will go in vain if they are not able to control the border regions. And another recent incident was that of ULFA, that is United Liberation Front of Assam, issuing a threat to the police chief in the state, another key state in Northeast. So we need to monitor the situation very closely in the Northeast as things become more and more precarious on both sides of the.
Yes, Bhargav. We'll continue to monitor the situation there. So moving on to the EMEA region, we covered a total of 11 issues, and I'll be going over the top three of the 11 developments that we covered. In the United Kingdom, a majority of British lawmakers voted in favor of a controversial bill that would allow the government to send asylum seekers to Rwanda. The Safety of Rwanda Asylum and Immigration Bill was backed by a vote of 313 to 269 in the House of Commons. This comes after the UK Supreme Court ruled that the plan to send asylum seekers to Rwanda was unlawful. We conveyed this to our clients via an advisory message today.
Yes, Mithma, this development is quite interesting, especially because this sending asylum seekers to Rwanda has been a controversial issue since it was first adopted by Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. Actually, when it was first adopted, a group of asylum seekers were put on a plane and was about to fly to Rwanda when the UK Supreme Court announced that it's unlawful, and those group of asylum seekers were removed from the plane, and Rishi Sunak, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, had a huge backlash. So we expect a possibility that there will be public backlash as well as opposition backlash on this bill, especially from the Labour Party, which has been gaining a lot of popularity across the country in recent months and years as well. So we have to keep a close eye on this.
Sure, Basil. We'll keep an eye out on this development. In Ukraine, we have a development where the country's top mobile operator, Kyivstar, was hit by the biggest cyber attack since the start of the war in February 2022. This cyber attack knocked out services and also damaged the operator's information technology infrastructure. Almost half of Ukraine's population are subscribers to Kyivstar. We conveyed this to our clients via an advisory message today as well.
Yes, also this cyber warfare between Russia and Ukraine is not new. However, this attack on Kyivstar is one of the biggest attacks, if not the biggest, since the start of the war back in February 2022. So we also have to keep a close eye on this because almost half, as you said, half of the Ukrainian population are subscribers, and as well they have been receiving alerts of bombings and airstrikes by the Russian Air Force via their subscription to Kyivstar. So if they don't receive these alerts, there might be a human cost to the cyber attack as well. So we have to monitor this closely and see how Ukraine will respond in the coming days.
Of course, Basil, we'll keep an eye out on this development as well. And now moving on to the Israel-Palestine conflict, the United Nations General Assembly has approved a resolution calling for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. US President Joe Biden has said that the current Israeli government is the most conservative in the country's history and that it does not want a two-state solution. President Biden has also said that Prime Minister Netanyahu is losing support and must change his government. Israel's opposition leader, Yair Lapid, has said that Netanyahu is conducting a wicked political campaign during wartime to win support and avoid political responsibility. We conveyed this to our clients via an advisory message today.
Yes, this is also interesting. I think the US, it's very obvious now that the US knows that Netanyahu and his government cannot continue because of its very far-right stances in the country. Also, the opposition is gaining a lot of popularity because of this. They have blamed regularly Netanyahu that he's been conducting a campaign to keep him in power and not be tried by the court. So we'll have to also monitor this closely and see how the developments, if Netanyahu will change some faces in his government, like the defense minister, or he will keep it the same and more backlash will happen publicly and politically.
Thank you for those insights, Basil. That was indeed very interesting. And if we have no further comments, I think we can wrap up for today.
Thank you, Mithma. Nothing further from me.
Thank you.
Thanks.